Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm doing a review of The Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. I'm very sorry to all my Russians out there. This book was translated into English by Andrew Broomfield. My cat sounds very sad. I don't know if you can hear him in the background there. The first part of this video will have no spoilers, and then I'll delve into a little bit of spoiler territory. This is the first book, and it says the Night Watch trilogy, but looking it up online, I think there's 4 books, but I don't know if maybe only 3 of them have been translated into English or anything like that. I'm not too sure. I didn't look into it too deeply, because sometimes when you look at things online, it gets a bit confusing. So if anyone knows out there how many books are in this series, and if they're all translated into English, I would love to know. I enjoyed this and would like to continue on. It took a little bit for me to get into the book, just because I was reading so many other books that I was really enjoying, and I was doing buddy reads with them, so I didn't prioritise this until closer to the end of January. But once I got into the swing of it, I really enjoyed it. You're following Anton, who is, he's like a computer programmer, and he is an other, so he's part of the kind of supernatural world, if you would have it. This is set in Moscow in Russia, and as you can tell, because it was translated from Russian, I don't know if I said that, so everyone's names are Russian, all the place names are Russian, it's in Russia, and that was part of why it was a little bit hard to get into, just because it was so unfamiliar with me, so many words I didn't know how to pronounce. So that just takes a wee second for you to adjust. I haven't read too many books that are translated, and especially books that are translated and not in like a European kind of setting. So I'm really enjoying reading a few books set in Russia. It's interesting. So you're following Anton, who's like a programmer, and he's an other, so it means he's got access to magic and harness magic. And this world is full of, there's vampires, there's shapeshifters / like werewolves, and then there's like people who can do magic, and I think there's also like succubi and incubi and that, but they don't really come up in the book, but they are referenced as part of the supernatural world. The thing I like about this book so much is the magic system. It's about the light versus dark, good versus evil. He sounds so sad. Calcifer, what's wrong? So in that sense, it's quite standard of like a kind of supernatural urban fantasy. It's about good versus evil. But the setting of this and the magic was just so fascinating, and I loved how it worked. How the good could only do good deeds. Well, not they could only do good deeds, but any good deed they did allowed the dark to do an equal bad deed of like the same value, and vice versa. So every move had to be quite calculated. You didn't want to do like a hugely good event, like changing someone's like moral compass or saving someone's life, because it meant that the bad had the opportunity to do something evil of equal value. So they could take someone's life or change someone's moral compass themselves. So it's all a big balancing act. And Anton and a few other people you meet are part of the Night Watch. And the Night Watchers, the light people, are a part of the Night Watch because they watch and kind of police the dark. And the Day Watch are the dark people policing the light people. So it's all about balance. And it just sums up. At the very start of this book, there's a small section at the front, and it says, "This text has been approved for distribution as conducive to the cause of the light by the Night Watch." And it also says, "This text has been approved for distribution as conducive to the cause of the dark, the Day Watch." And the whole way through this, you've got that balance. I really love the character of Anton. I thought he was a great person to follow because he's a computer programmer for the Night Watch, but he gets thrust into this big world-like problem, and he's not like a combative kind of person. Even though he has magic, he doesn't have a lot of magic compared to some of the other operatives. And yeah, it goes from there. The book follows Anton's perspective the whole way through, but it is kind of split into kind of 3 shorter stories, and I think that just allows for kind of like a bit of a time skip between each event. And yeah, it's just book is a lot about like morality and good and bad, and about making good choices, and you really have to decide to be good. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say without going into spoiler territory. I really enjoyed this. The magic system is really clever, and I thought it was really great that it was set in like Moscow. It's just refreshing to see fantasy books set in other countries that maybe aren't English speaking, because I'm guilty of reading mostly English speaking centric novels. So it was great to experience some of that, and also you get some of the culture bleed through from like Russia, and that kind of bleeds through the book. I thought the translation was quite good. I wasn't really confused at any points, but I do find translations sometimes maybe a little bit clunky. But you just have to know that going in, that this is translated. It wasn't originally written in English, so maybe the writer's true kind of meaning is lost a little bit sometimes with translation. I think this was really successful, and I really enjoyed this book. I did hear that there is films for this series, so I'm going to see if I can try and find them somewhere online and like watch them. Well, they'll be subtitled, but we'll try and watch them, at least this first book, because I really enjoyed it. And if I come across the next books in the series secondhand somewhere, I'll definitely continue on. Now we're going to delve into a couple of little spoilers. This is just my more discussion part of this video. So I did say I liked the magic system. It was a little bit confusing going into it, and I just feel like Anton, I loved his character. I felt he had a great personality, and I liked his arc as a character. But I feel like he got totally screwed over in this book. Like everyone was constantly telling him like, you're not strong enough, you're not good enough at magic. I can't say her name. Sveta, who's kind of like, is like his kind of love interest sort of kind of friend. She's like going to be this great like magician. She's going to be absolutely fantastic for cultivating her magic. But Anton, you're never going to be that good. You're just a level 3 at most, 2 at most. You're never going to be the greatest. And they just kept like pulling Anton down and making him feel bad about himself. And because a lot of these characters' magic allows them to have like premonition and to see the future a little bit, his boss kind of just puts Anton in lots of positions where he feels like he's stuck, and Anton always kind of puzzles it out in the end and then kind of feels like, yeah, this was the right thing to do, this made sense. But he gets totally shafted and totally hurt and really screwed over by his boss and his colleagues and everything, and by Sveta, just because he was a convenient kind of pawn to the bigger picture. And I just feel like he got done shafted. I've said it again. I just thought it was a bit unfair. Like, I really liked Anton, but especially like the third story where everything was building up. You thought there was a big conspiracy, but at the end, Anton just kind of clicks and realises what's going on and helps Sveta make the right choice, sort of thing, by not telling her what to do. And yeah, I just feel like this whole book can be summed up about that Anton was kind of treated poorly. And I think that's a shame. And I don't know if it's just because it's his point of view you're following, so you feel his emotions more clearly. But yeah, I just feel like it was a bit unfair. He feels a bit lost in this world a wee bit. He's second guessing his purpose. Yeah, and I just feel like that was a bit unfair. But I did love this book. Enjoyed the characters. It was a bit confusing at times. And some of the story did seem a little bit kind of convenient, again, because of the powers of like precognition. And everything's so carefully like manipulated from higher up. It just seems like a lot of the story, I think sometimes like seeing the future, it like kind of takes away the kind of real meaning behind an action, because if everything's so perfectly calculated and so far into the future and everything's planned out and you know all the actions these characters are going to take, and you kind of manipulate everything, it's like, well, what was the point? No one made any kind of original choices. So sometimes that takes away from me a little bit. I've had that in a couple of other books where you just feel like, well, where's the real choice in that? If you kind of knew what was going on, where's the real kind of like struggle? If you kind of know what's going on and know the outcome, like it's not actually as bad a situation as you think it is. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are if you have read this book before and even read the series. I am looking forward to reading the rest of the series, but I do believe they don't all follow Anton as the main protagonist. So I'd be interested to see if you've continued on the series and what you thought of it. The series did originally come out in the 90s. This first book was 1998, but it wasn't translated until 2006. So it's a modern urban fantasy, kind of as modern as you can get with an early 2000s book, late 90s. And yeah, enjoyed it. So thank you for watching this review. Leave any questions or comments down below. And be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.